All right, next in our short unit on statistics, we're going to talk about population parameters versus sample statistics. So, a survey of a sample gathers information from a few people, and then the results are used to reflect the opinions of a larger population. The reason that researchers and pollsters use samples is that it's cheaper and easier to poll a few people rather than everybody. One key to successful surveys is to find the appropriate size for the sample that will give accurate results that reflect the larger population without spending too much time or money. So, you guys have heard about statistics, a statistic for this, a statistic for that, because parameters are hard to get. So the reason that a parameter about this, a parameter about that is not a popular saying is because they are expensive. They're very difficult to get. They're very difficult to track down. Technically, the information we get from the census every 10 years, those would be parameters, not statistics, if they are done correctly, because they are about the population. They're information about the entire country, the entire United States. So that's the difference, ultimately, between a statistic, which is supposed to be about a smaller sample, and a parameter, which is supposed to be about the entire population that you want to talk about. So a population is the entire set of things or people. The various data that you find to describe the population are called parameters. So whenever they do the census, whenever they're getting information and they're talking about how many people in the United States have jobs, how many people in the United States are unemployed, how many people in the United States are over what age, and they're doing it based off of the census, which happens every 10 years and is supposed to be true information. I don't know if you guys, it happened recently. Was it last year? Did they do it in 2020? I don't know how aware of it you guys are, since you guys are, your parents would have participated. You would not. Your parents would have just answered questions on your behalf. But they actually, if you don't answer the census, it's like a postcard. They will come and knock on your door. And there were people who had jobs, and their job was to make phone calls to people who had not answered the census and basically harass them until they answered the set of questions. But basically, they were trying to get every single residence in the entire country accounted for so that they could get information from literally every person. They do this every 10 years. So they can get accurate information from every person in the country. And my first question is, well, what about homeless people? Because that, you're talking about a residence, so they don't have a residence, so it can't be that accurate. But they're trying to get as accurately as possible. So it's an interesting set of information. But anyway, the information you get about a population is called a parameter, not a statistic. So there blows up what we call our stats for all the information that we've gotten from that. Anyway, a sample is a subset of the population. So the citizens of North Carolina are a subset of the citizens of the United States. The citizens of Durham and Hillsborough are a subset of the citizens of North Carolina. The citizens of, well, not the citizens, but the students of Eno River are a subset of the citizens of Hillsborough and Durham, which are a subset of the citizens of North Carolina, which are a subset of the citizens of the United States, and so on and so forth. So the various data that you can find to describe the sample are called statistics. Statistics. Okay, I'm surprised I spelled that right while I was talking. All right, so these are all the notes that we're taking, actually. Really, after this, it's just recognition. Can you recognize what the different things are. And there's actually, this assignment is kind of long. There's quite a few things because we really want to get, do you understand the difference between a population and a sample? Do you understand the difference between a parameter and a statistic? So let's go ahead and do some of these questions to kind of get you started, so that maybe you can do some of these questions before you get to class tomorrow, so you can really focus on your EOC review in class. So let's figure out in this question if they're talking about a parameter or statistic when they give us these two different underlined numbers here. So of all the U.S. kindergarten teachers, 32% say that knowing the alphabet is an essential skill. So if they're talking about all of the U.S. kindergarten teachers, then they're talking about a parameter. If they're saying of the 800 U.S. kindergarten teachers polled, 34% say that knowing the alphabet is an essential skill, then that would be a statistic. So you can kind of tell the difference based on the context. Of all U.S. kindergarten teachers, parameter, of the 800 polled, that's a statistic. All right, so let's look at this situation here, and let's recognize what the sample is, what the population is, what the statistic is, what the parameter is. So it says, of the U.S. population, 36% have an allergy. A sample of 1,200 randomly selected adults resulted in 33.2% reporting an allergy. So the population is the U.S. adult population. The sample is the 1,200 randomly selected adults. The statistic has to do with the 1,200, so that's the 33.2% that reported an allergy. And the parameter is what describes the population, which was the U.S. adult population. That's the 36%. And these are both with allergies. All right, I'll go ahead and leave it there.